Marching back to the flat line, you can see the intraday chart right there. And it's perhaps because Larry Kudlow has been offered the job to replace Gary Cohn. We all know Larry very well. Charlie and I both worked with Larry, and it turns out Adam did too.
Yeah, amazing.
So we know him, and we know his thoughts on the economy. But he's a free trade guy, big time, doesn't believe in tariffs. Charlie, how's that going to go?
You know, I talked to him a couple of days ago, and I told him not to do it.
What, not to take the job?
Yes.
It's a tough job working there.
And he started laughing, and, you know, and I knew he wanted the job.
Yeah.
Because I think he wants to be back in the game. And, you know, one thing about Larry's just full disclosure, really close friend of mine.
Yeah, likewise.
And,
he's a great
guy
great
that
man.
you know, he's been a mentor to me through my career. And, you know, I've given him some advice, I think, along the way. And my worry about him is that he believes because he beat his demons, which were very difficult to beat, his drug addiction and his alcohol.
Right, which he speaks openly about.
Right, yeah, he doesn't. He talks about it all the time. But he beat that, and very few people beat that. But he beat that through like just incredible determination and faith. He's a Christian, and you know, he thinks that because he beat that, my belief is that he can almost do anything. And by the way, he is very confident.
I admire that.
I do too. He is very confident he could talk Donald Trump out of all his protectionist leanings. My point to him is, like, you don't really know Donald Trump that well. He's a very circular thinker. He's not a lineal thinker. And my view is that Donald Trump will sell you down the road in a minute on this protectionism stuff and make you look really bad. That's what I told him.
Well, but, you know, the other thing here is to reduce the entire conversation about what's happening in Washington, what's happening in the economy, to tariffs, I think is actually missing the point. I think it's just one component of one chapter. And as I have said, I really think it's ultimately about leverage in NAFTA. So while they disagree on this one issue, I don't think it's
But isn't this why Gary Cohn left? I mean, he did not
He was
want
unhappy
tariffs
with a number of different,
but
which you have discussed.
He would have stayed, I think. I mean, here's what I think. Listen, I will say this. Larry's telling people, I know this for a fact, Larry's telling people Trump isn't this protectionist, that he's using this tariff thing purely as a leverage and to craft better trade
for
deals.
NAFTA.
For NAFTA and other things, just to give us a better position. So he's not really protectionist.
Right.
Trump is telling people, well, Larry kind of likes tariffs. He's not totally against tariffs. My view is this is a recipe for disaster, because here's what's going to happen. Trump has such almost infantile economic views. He doesn't really have a formative economic philosophy. He you know, during
I mean, look at how great our economy's doing right now.
He did not invent the tax cut, no offense. But here's why. During the campaign, he actually said that he can renegotiate debt to get a better deal out of our creditors, which, just so you know, is called default.
Yes. And by the way,
has done in private.
But you could do that with your junk bond hotels,
right?
You know, or
which you did twice.
You can't do that with the U.S. economy and the U.S. and the national debt. So I think he's walking. Larry is walking into a potentially very difficult thing for his reputation. And you know, listen, Gary Cohn. Just so you know, Gary Cohn. Yeah, the tax plan is his almost.
Yes.
Although he would like it to be better
on the repatriation. He'd like it to be better on the individual side.
He and Art Laffer, and you know, I was privy, and Trish. In fact, I think Charlie, you were at a couple of those dinners, right? Where Art Laffer and Larry Kudlow during the campaign actually would corral some of the then candidates.
Yeah.
I remember being at a dinner for Rick Perry where they said, okay, this is how the economy works. And they actually laid out the plan very carefully. And I think the fact that Trump is now bringing Kudlow in is an endorsement of that education. He knows that he needs
and he wants to get another round of tax cuts.
Maybe it's cover.
Right.
Maybe Trump is using this. This would not be above Donald Trump to do this.
What?
Using Larry as cover for his protectionist policies to make sure so the market sort of smooth out. I got a dissenting voice, and guess what?
Apparently the market's listening to you, Charlie, because what the heck happened? Another 100 points right there as you talked.
Is that me?
Well,
that might be you, Charlie.
Thank you.
Down 240.
You know, think about, though, where we are in this market right now. We've never seen the combination of what's happening. Talk about trade war as rates are starting to move higher, as the economy is at full employment. Can it get any better? As inflation is starting, slowly, but starting to come back in, as we have had the longest ever bull market So, right, there's a lot of stuff that the market is ultimately trying to digest and make sense of. I think it's right now, we're just trying to process that, but ultimately the story is, as I have been saying for a long time, the two E's of earnings and employment. We have the most number of Americans working, and they are spending money, and companies are growing.
The only problem is this, and I will say, we need to get GDP, and Larry will say this, at a 3% plus bogey, because if we don't get that, and this is where the interest rate scenario becomes, even detached from inflation.
Yeah, right.
You're going to have to sell a lot more debt to cover the deficit, and you could get a massive spike in interest rates that will snuff
down the road.
everything else.
But everybody's been talking about that, gosh, forever. It feels like it's been going on and on and on.
No, they haven't been talking about that. They've been talking about this is a relatively new phenomenon because we just cut taxes by 1.5 trillion.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, right.
So you're going to have to pay more for debt. It's just no doubt about it.
I will tell you this. Larry may not care so much about that.
What, the debt, Trish?
Yeah, he's very much the mindset you can spend via tax cuts,
right,
which will get the economy going.
But me too. I agree with that, but I'm just...
You're just throwing the caution.
My only caveat is suppose it doesn't happen.
Right,
What, suppose we don't get the growth, you mean?
Yeah. Suppose there are some secular forces that the smart economists have talked about that prevent the 3%, 3.5% growth. I'm just saying, I don't believe it.
Hey, look, still the tax cuts are better than nothing.
At 20-year highs and jobless claims at 50-year lows.
But if you don't have GDP growth, you can't pay down the debt.
I'm going to leave it there.
Fair point.
Charlie and Adam, good to see you guys.